Well, good morning there, everyone. Welcome back to the coffee break. Got some stories I want to share with you today and some things that I've observed and experienced in the last week or so. And that's what this is all about. Sitting down, taking a time out, having a little coffee break, if you will, and just sharing. And if you find something valuable in my experiences and my observations and my thoughts and what have you, then don't forget to give me a thumbs up at some point during the video. And of course, I'm going to invite you to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of future videos, which I intend to put up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And what else? Oh, and you can share it with everybody else if you're so inclined. Anyways, as I start recording this, I just wanted to share an experience I had yesterday, which will probably be a week down the road before you see this, but I was driving along and I had gone to the store and grabbed a lunch of sorts and was driving back home, and I took the long way actually and found myself in heavy traffic. And I was just sitting there watching the world go by as I was inching along, finding my way home. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the wind just kicks in and swirls around, and dust is flying and trash is flying all over the place. Plastic bags are flying up in the air and landing in trees, and all the construction signs and cones and you know, all that stuff that's on the road as you're trying to go through road construction started to move and travel along the roadway in and amongst all the vehicular traffic. And it happened so fast. It didn't just gradually progress and turn into this little storm. It just happened all at once. And I thought, wow, this is just very fast. It was quite a spectacle. And I took a couple of pictures of it and then posted it on my social media and showed it to some people. But it was such a sudden storm that hit us like out of the blue that I thought, wow, this is kind of spectacular and unusual, and I get to witness it a little bit. But I don't have to be intimidated by it or inhibited by it for very long, because I just took a quick shortcut out of there and made it right home, because by the time it actually kicked in, I was just 3 blocks from home. So I took a shortcut and kind of wound my way home quicker and got out of the traffic. But it was quite a spectacle. And I just thought I'd share that I had that experience. It was kind of a reminder to me of when I lived in Phoenix, which I lived there for about 11 years, Phoenix, Arizona. And every summer, July, August is what they call monsoon season. And from the east, at some point in the afternoon, mid to late afternoon, you might see a wall of sand flying across the desert, very thick, and it's just comes at you like this. So everyone knows that they need to be indoors or, you know, locked inside their cars until it passes, because that sand is just flying all over the place, and it can be hurtful and sting and get in your eyes and all that kind of stuff. But this was not really like that. It was a little bit more like a swirly storm. Wind just kicked up all of a sudden and just threw everything around. It was just total chaos. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's just a story that happened to me while I was out in it, and it reminded me of the monsoon season out in Arizona and the haboobs or habibs, however you want to pronounce it, coming at you. And so that was quite a little experience yesterday, a little excitement, you know. Life is never dull. It can be quite interesting. So that's that, and I wanted to share that with you. But as I get started on today's video, I wanted to share some stories that have happened during my little holiday break, if you will, that took a little more time than I expected. There was about a 2-week period where I was noticing a few things happening in my life. And one of those things was I had gotten a message from back home in Arkansas of my foster dad. He had just gotten out of the hospital from being in there for several weeks from a back surgery. So he hasn't been in the best of health. And all of a sudden I get this message on this particular day, and they told me he was back in the hospital and he'd just been released like a day or two before. Now, it's not a surprise to me when I hear that someone who's been released from the hospital is suddenly back in the hospital just 2 or 3 days later. It happens a lot. I don't know what it is about going into the hospital. As soon as they release you, it's like they released you too soon or something, and then you go right back for something. And it's really weird. I've seen it happen several times. And in this case, I was just waiting to hear back on, how he was doing, if it was good, that they got him to the hospital in time, what the situation actually was. And for those of you who have gone through a lot of concern and have been sad or have been experiencing relatives with health issues, or yourself having health issues, or if you've had a great loss because of the pandemic and the COVID or something like that, you understand that this can be very concerning or disconcerting, as the case may be. So, to relieve some frustration, I decided I was going to get on the treadmill. And I'm just sitting there waiting and wondering what was going on, because that's all you can do, right? Is to wait until you get the news on what's happening. So I was on my treadmill, I was walking and running and trying to release my frustrations a little bit and just do something good for myself. And I'm sitting there wondering, and then all of a sudden, this hummingbird comes up to the window where my treadmill is sitting next to, so I can look outside, and a hummingbird flies up. And it's just sitting there, hovering outside my window. And I saw it, and I'm like, wow, that's unusual, because I don't know that hummingbirds really hover around a high-rise 6 floors up, and where there's not anything that would be sustainable for them, such as flowers or plants or trees or anything like that. So I'm like, is this normal? I don't know. But I immediately went and looked at my phone, which was to my right of the treadmill, and there was a message telling me that he was back home from the hospital and he was just dehydrated. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. It was like the moment that hummingbird arrived, I got the message. And I thought that was so special and so interesting. I had to share that story with you. But it doesn't stop there, because I experienced like 2 weeks of hummingbirds in my life. And I'm thinking, what does this mean? Is this symbolic of something? Is this just coincidental that these hummingbirds are coming up to me? I don't know. And I just thought, that is so cool. I wanted to share it with other people, like I'm sharing with you right now. So I called up my friend a couple of days later, who does some similar work that I do in being in the industry of acting and also being a caretaker. And I told her about the story because I knew she'd understand. She would completely have something to say about that. And I told her about the hummingbird at that moment when I was wondering what was going on and what the news would be, and then suddenly I got the message as soon as the hummingbird arrived. And she immediately went online and started looking up if there was any symbolism to that. And they do come up to people from time to time because they're curious. In fact, if I look on Google, it'll tell you very quickly, why do hummingbirds hover in front of you? Well, this one was outside the window. And it says there that hummingbirds generally fly up to someone's face because they're curious or they're investigating a situation. And they're extremely inquisitive about their surroundings and enforce caution and safety in their territory. And they also recognize and associate and expect food from a homeowner if there happens to be a feeder nearby, which I don't have near my balcony. So it seems like it was a little bit more than just a hummingbird coming up to me in the area. It seems like there was a little bit more symbolism behind that. To me, it did. It made me feel special. But here's the thing. That one time was a special incident. But the second time it happened was while I was telling my friend about it, and she was looking it up online. And while she was reading to me some of the symbolism behind what hummingbirds mean, what they symbolize, another hummingbird came right up to me, and I was sitting on the balcony outside at that point, and he came right up to me, and I had my legs crossed, and my foot was just doing this while my legs were crossed over, and I was talking. You know how that goes. You kick your foot up and down. And this hummingbird was coming up to me, hovering at my foot, just as I was telling the story about the previous hummingbird incident. And I thought, oh, wow. And I stopped the conversation. I said, oh, my God, another hummingbird just came up to me right here, close to me right now. Isn't that cool? I just thought that was really special. But, you know, you think that once or twice, you know, that's pretty cool. But there's got to be some symbolism there and some meaning behind it just happening. Again, I'm on a high rise. I'm 6 flights up, and this hummingbirds are showing up and visiting me. And are they trying to say something to me? Are they trying to send a little message? Are they just trying to be a source of comfort to me, or what? I don't know. But I thought, wow, that is just so cool. And everybody loves hummingbirds, right? And that's why we have hummingbird feeders often outside our homes, you know, because they're so cute to watch do their thing, right? Well, anyway, it didn't stop there. The story goes on because within a week, I decided to go for a hike nearby in a natural reserve where they have hiking trails, and in this particular area it's called Sloan, and they have petroglyphs out there. So I thought, well, I didn't realize that there were some petroglyphs so close to me, so I decided I would try to go out there and see if I could take the hike. So I'm going out there and I'm hiking around, and you don't see too many people out there, and so it's a nice solo hike, and nothing super fancy about hiking, just going around looking at, you know, the formation of rocks and foliage and desert landscaping, and until I get to the petroglyphs. So on my way in through the hiking trails, and there's like 3 or 4 of them that connect in some fashion, so you can decide to hike one day and another day, or just do a full loop. It's up to you. In any case, I did go, and I'm hiking along, and I'm probably, you know, a quarter mile into the hike when I spot this hummingbird. And I thought, oh, there's a hummingbird, and this time I have my camera. So I'm like, I'm gonna try to get a picture of the hummingbird if I can. And so I'm trying to get as close as I can to it and keep my eye on it, because, you know, hummingbirds are pretty small, and if they're far away, you know, you got to get a little closer. So I was trying to get a little closer, and I did manage to get a couple of photos of this hummingbird out there in my hiking area. And here's what's fun about this part of the story. This is the 3rd time within a week and a half that I've had the hummingbird experience coming up and around me. And this time, not only am I just noticing the hummingbird, this time I'm noticing the hummingbird. Another hiker comes by at one point, and she says to me as she's passing by, boy, those hummingbirds really are attracted to you or in love with you or something to that nature. And I thought, wow, you know, these hummingbirds are gravitating toward me during this time period for some reason. And somebody else noticed it and made a comment about it. So there has to be something special about that. So I wanted to share this hummingbird story with you today, and also just kind of go online and just look up and see if there is a certain little meaning towards the idea of these hummingbirds showing up, you know. So I just decided to Google, you know, hummingbird appearance meaning. And hummingbird symbolism and meaning, totem, spirit, and omens is what I've come up with at a site called World Birds, Joy of Nature. And so I'm just going to look here and see what it has to say. Well, it says here that a hummingbird flying reminds us to enjoy life and simple pleasures. And I agree with that, because I'm thinking, you know, they're letting me know that all is good. You know, life is good and everything's going to be okay kind of thing. And that's what I was feeling in those moments. The symbolism of the hummingbird is also linked to the idea of eternity and affinity. Birds' wings move in the pattern of a figure 8, the ancient symbol of continuity, the infinity symbol. Yeah, oh, that's cool. It's also associated with endurance and perseverance, and it reminds us to be adaptable and accept change. It's a positive symbol, is what it's saying to us here. It means we expect love, joy, and good luck. And we cannot have enough of that right now, especially after coming out of 2020, that's for sure. Oh, that's really kind of some good symbolism to think about. And to know that this was gravitating around me for a good 2 weeks, it's really neat. But also, according to Native American symbolism, you know, these hummingbirds, they depict the tiny bird, as it says here, as a healer or a spirit sent to help people. Some legends represent the hummingbird as the fire bringer. And that is really cool. It just seems to say over and over again how the hummingbird kind of symbolizes the idea of elevating oneself to a path that is higher than where we've been. A messenger sent from heaven, associated with healing, wisdom, and endurance. So in a nutshell, that's kind of cool that these hummingbirds were hanging out near me at a time when I'm wondering about my foster dad, who currently is still with us, but is also on hospice. And we just don't know how much longer he will be with us. But for some reason, during that time period when this was all beginning, I was getting some assurance, some positivity, and some healing of some sorts. Not probably just from understanding what was going on with my foster father, but everything that's going on in our country and our world and our land, with our humanity being very questionable and attacked by COVID-19, and people losing very special people in their lives and what have you. This hummingbird situation really seemed to grasp me at a time when I probably didn't know I even needed it. So anyways, that's my hummingbird story, and maybe I went on and on and on about it, but I just, it happened frequently for a couple of weeks there that I was just being surrounded by the hummingbird experience. And this symbolism, of course, just seems to fit right in with what was going on and has been going on for the last year. So, with that, I hope you enjoyed the story. Again, please feel free to join me next time. I'm sure I'll come up with some more stories for you because I'm experiencing things every day just like you are. And if you have anything you want to share, don't forget to put them in the comment box below. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time right here on the Coffee Break. So hit that notification bell so you'll know when I post the next video, okay? Until then, have a great day. Bye now.